welcome to Ring the Damn Bell. Of course, I am your host, KG, and with me tonight, as always, is my co-host, the wrestling enthusiast, Mark. What's going on, brother?
Vikings won.
I don't care.
I-
So we are obviously it is. We will be recapping Survivor Series. A couple of quick things. There were a couple of injuries during the men's War Games. Um, Bronson Reed of Triple H at the media that he does after the show. He mentioned that Bronson Reed was being checked out, that he was injured, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. And then it was also brought up that not Jay Uso, his brother, I drew a blank. Jay and Jimmy Uso broke his toe. Now, what's interesting is that both of these injuries happened when they dove off of the top of the cage. So I'm curious to see in further matches like this if they're going to have rules that they can no longer jump from the top of the cages or not, due to the fact that it's dangerous. And you can be injured, obviously, because we had two of those guys who did those moves last night who were injured. So yeah, that's it, about it for news. Let's get to the pay-per-view.
All right. So we start out with the women's war games. And, in true fashion, it was a damn good match, to be honest. Uh, I can sit there and say different. There were a couple misses, but, there were a couple highlights too. Io Sky jumping out for the trash can. I mean, that's pure insanity, but whatever. In the media recap, Jesus, I trust the trash can.
Right. You know, she's someone that I've come to really like. Now, what's interesting is during the media recap, she did talk about how um she still belongs to damage control because one of the representation, well, one of the media people asked her what was her future. Will she be working with Naomi and um, and mommy? And she's like, well, I'm still with damage control, so we'll see what's going to happen. Now, what's interesting also is that mommy said that she was going to respect that Io Sky is the number one contender right now, and she was going to kind of sit back and wait for Io Sky to have her match, and then from that point on, she would move forward with whatever she feels like she has to do. So yeah, a couple of interesting um, things said there at the media recap after. So,
Uh,
but yeah, the War Games for the women, excellent, excellent match, much better than I thought it was going to be.
yeah.
So,
So Rhea power bombs basically Liv and gets the pin.
right.
Um, Next we go to Shinsuke Nakamura defeats LA Knight.
That what I tell you what, we both predicted that LA Knight would win, obviously, because of Wrestling 101 the night before. Uh, he got the better of LA Knight, but I was thrilled that he won that match. I really was. I popped for that. One, because he deserves the title, and two, they swerved us, and I love whenever I get swerved, and something happens I'm not expecting.
Yeah, no, it was a good match too. I gotta give props to LA Knights. He's like 40, and he can still put on a good match.
Yep.
And if memory serves me, he hasn't had too many injuries in his career.
No. Now I'm curious to see what is going to be, what are they going to have LA Knight do? No, are they going to have him possibly chasing the world title? Is he going to go after Cody Rhodes, or will he go after the other title? So I don't know. We'll see. I don't. What do you think would be a better match, Cody and LA Knight or Gunther and LA Knight?
You know, I really think both would be good, but I'd rather see LA go against Gunther. You know, I don't know why. I just rather would. You know, I think
Yeah,
LA put Cody to shame, to be honest. You know, and I think Gunther would be a better challenge for LA Knight.
yeah, I agree. I agree, but the I agree as far as the match, but the chase where they are doing their promos and talking to one another, I think the promo aspect of it, the chase aspect of it, would be better with Cody in
Oh
LA
yeah,
Knight.
absolutely, without a doubt.
So,
All right, so next we go to Braun Breaker versus Left and Sheamus. You know, actually, this was a banger. I ain't gonna sit there and say different. It was a banger. I don't use that term too often.
right, right. It was a lot.
Um,
It was a good match, and this is what surprised me. Remember, I said in the last podcast that I'm not a big Sheamus fan anymore. I thought that because of his experience and how long he's been with WWE, that he should be pushing the younger talent. And I didn't want to see another title run. I was actually starting to root for Sheamus to win this. Uh, the reason being is because he would be one of the only, I think there's only one more, what do they call that, where everyone has had every single title? Was that?
Grand Slam champion.
Yes, a Grand Slam champion. And when that was brought up, I'm like, okay, now I want to see him win that title because I would like to see him be a Grand Slam champion. He deserves that.
Yep,
He does.
that's kind of why I was hoping Sheamus would win.
Yeah.
Because there are guys that you get so far in your career, and you know, it's not that you deserve it; you've earned it. And I hate that you deserve it. I hate that whole saying. No, you've earned it.
Right.
You know?
Right. Now I tell you, when the media was talking to Ron Breaker, they had asked him if he was going to focus on Gunther's title, and because they had that a few weeks ago, Gunther and Ron Breaker had that conversation backstage, and Ron Breaker said, "No, I'm going to concentrate on being the best IC champion that I can be." Now I tell you what you know what the match I want to see? I want to see Braun Breaker against Jacob Fatu.
Yes, yes. Now the only thing that Breaker's got on him is just that undeniable speed. But Jacob's got that experience, and Jacob's got that. Um, he's got a wild hair up his ass where he'll try anything. He don't give a shit. You know, but I think youth and speed will overcome the experience. But yeah,
Maybe. I mean, Fatu, man, he was just, and we'll get to it, but man, he was just amazing last night. If there was an award given in professional wrestling
for MVP,
for MVP, he would win. He would have won that last night.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's a shame they missed the boat on him because they should have had him 5 years ago, easily 5 years ago. You know, but he's making up for lost time because this guy is a hell of a performer. All right, so next we go to Gunther defeats. You know, this one I thought was kind of not as good as I anticipated. It had kind of a Hulk Hogan comeback feeling to it, where Gunther started working on the shoulder, and all of a sudden, no, past that, and you know, and if Damien would have won, I really would have gone with, oh, it was a Hulk Hogan finish, you know, but Damien lost, and it wasn't. I knew there was gonna be interference, and I felt it was gonna be Finn, and it was.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking too. what I found the most interesting throughout that whole match was after Finn interfered, how Gunther ran out on the other side of the ring and ran up to Finn and kicked him, right? Um, Gunther, in a way, Gunther made a babyface turn last night. Um, I don't think that it's the official babyface turn, but that was definitely part of it. And even after, whenever he was interviewed, he was he wasn't the Gunther that used to do the interviews. He was very humbled during the interview. It was very interesting to see him that way. He mentioned that he was not happy about the interference because um, he was suffering with self-esteem issues as far as being that champion. And he wanted to be able to beat Damian Priest on his own to prove to himself that he is still, Gunther, that intense badass. So yeah, he wasn't very happy about it. Nonetheless, he won. But I think that was an unofficial baby turn last night. Baby
You know,
face turn.
I think Gunther's kind of a throwback to the '70s and maybe the early '80s, where you didn't want that running interference. You wanted a clean match, and I think he's a throwback, and I can respect that and I admire that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, both of his title reigns, I mean, title matches against Damian Priest, right? They're tainted, both of them. He has not yet beat Damian Priest clean at all. So,
And that'll be the reason for a rubber match.
right.
So,
Yep, that's where I was going with that. Was that?
and it'll be a cage match most likely.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It's going to be a cage match.
Yep. So, all right. So the next we go to the men's war games. This was pretty much everything we thought it would be, and then some. I think. Um, I really don't have much to say. I mean, it was good. Um, them guys doing the top of the cage. If you're 350 pounds and you're coming off what 15 feet and jumping down, lots of physics would tell me there's going to be some negative actions happening to you. So I don't care if there's three guys there to catch you, four guys there to catch you. 350 pounds, 15 feet, something negative is going to happen to your body.
Well, and like we said at the beginning, um, Bronson Reed is injured, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. But I want to go back for a second to the women's war games.
Sure.
I had predicted. I put on um, Bring the Down Bell's Facebook page. I had predicted that Tiff would cash in her Money in the Bank. And she grabbed that tight. Man, when she grabbed that case, I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. Then, of course, she didn't. I wish they would have allowed her to go ahead and cash in and win the title because that scenario has never happened in WWE.
Right.
That would have been the very first time in history. I think they missed a really golden opportunity for a title change unlike any other time in WWE history. And it would probably be the only time that ever happened as well. So they really missed a golden opportunity, in my opinion.
I think so too. Absolutely. Absolutely. When she grabbed that Money in the Bank, and then she's standing over both of them falling, for a minute there, I thought, shit, she's going to pin them both and take both titles. And that would have been freaking awesome.
That would have, absolutely. Well, Shoni has a few months left to cash it in because she has to cash it in by WrestleMania. So it's going to be within the next couple of pay-per-views, or possibly on SmackDown, or actually could even happen on Raw if they go to Netflix. I'm not sure what the hell they're going to do with that. But going back to the men's war games, great spots that happen. Obviously, Bronson Reed and Jimmy Uso coming off the top of the cage. One thing that kind of made me shake my head with the logic was when Solo locked that cage so to block Roman Reigns from coming through that door. And of course, there's Michael Cole talking about this match case starts, he gets in, and now there's no way for him to get in because he locked the door. And I'm thinking he could just fucking climb the cage. Like that just it didn't make sense why they went through all that to lock the door. I mean, he could just climb the cage. Now, if this was a Hell in Cell War Games match, okay, right? But yeah, that was my one little complaint. Other than that, man, this was a really good pay-per-view. Um, Great War Games match between with men and the women. Although this is not about in my world at least, AEW and WWE competing, but at the same time, as far as my enjoyment of the and comparing the two pay-per-views, most recent AEWs and Raw WWE, WWE got it all the way. AEW had a good pay-per-view, but WWE this pay-per-view was much better in my opinion.
I think it was better, but I also think um, we're conditioned for this because it is a major pay per view for WWE. It's kind of like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam. We're all conditioned that these are supposed to be like the pinnacle of pay per views. All right. So realistically, if AEW did a better pay per view than one of these four, it'd be a slap in the face of WWE. You know.
Yeah, but I'm not just saying I preferred it. I prefer WWE because you think I'm conditioned. I mean, I'm a big AEW fan, right? And there's been quite a few pay-per-views I thought AEW was better than WWE's.
Yeah.
I am not one of these fans that is only WWE or only AEW. I like both promotions. I like all the wrestling promotions actually. I just think that this pay-per-view was I think it was better as far as the production of it. Um and I just think that there was more substance into the storylines than what was in AEW. Going back to the women's war games, the one thing that happened that I was like, ooh, was Nia Jax. When she grabbed the chair, she went for a headshot on Naomi. And you seen Naomi grab her head because she wasn't expecting that. And then thankfully, Nia changes it to a back shot. But then she turns around and she did the same thing to Bailey. And she had to correct it and do a back shot. Um, this doesn't look good for Nia because she's already been accused of being pretty careless in the ring. Um, Thankfully, she didn't do those headshots. She would have hurt someone if she did those headshots because she swung that chair, right? So yeah, there was that little incident. But like I said, the rest of it was good. I enjoyed the women's war games and the men's much more than I thought. Now the question is, where do we go from here with the bloodline? Um, because we have that extra storyline that's forming amongst all of this with the favor that CM Punk and Paul Heyman between Paul Heyman and CM Punk, right? So something is going to happen with that. Um, we've seen Roman Reigns and CM Punk kind of at odds at first. CM Punk went to the ring before Roman Reigns wanted him to. You've seen Roman Reigns he was pissed off about that. Um, and then he accidentally speared CM Punk. But then CM Punk saves Roman's ass from Bronson Reed from jumping from the top. And then they seen shake hands. And then ultimately at the end of the match, the shake hands thing seemed to be all good between the two. Where do you think this is going?
They got to find a way to get Roman on Raw. So I quite possibly think he might go old school, or could possibly go old school and go loser leaves SmackDown. But where's that leave Paul Heyman? Paul Heyman going to go with Roman to Raw, or is he going to stay with Punk on SmackDown? Actually, no, wait, Punk's
See,
on.
Punk's on Raw.
Yeah, that's right. So you really can't do a loser leave SmackDown. You know,
What they could do though, actually, so one thing I noticed that happened was Michael Cole made the comment that although Roman Reigns, the OG, beat the new bloodline, he made the comment though that Solo was still the tribal chief. To me, that left this storyline open for more stuff. What you said is very interesting because you could very well see a loser leave SmackDown between Roman Reigns and Solo, the final battle. Who's going to be the tribal chief? Only the tribal chief can stay on SmackDown.
either that or Paul Heyman on a pole.
I don't see Paul Heyman on a pole, man. Nothing about a pole and Paul Heyman is even remotely appealing. But yeah, so I don't know how they're going to do it, but with Michael Cole making that comment, there's still going to be things happening apparently. I'm excited to watch both Raw and SmackDown because Raw, we're going to be having the 10-year and celebration for the Judgment Day. I mean the new shit. Not the Judgment Day, it's
the New Day.
The New Day. The New Day, yeah. And what's interesting about that is after the PLE, and you had Big E, he's in that role now of kind of being that announcer, or the whatever you want, the color commentary before and after the pay-per-view, him and Wade Barrett. And Wade Barrett was making some snarky remarks about, although you're celebrating 10 years, I mean, are you going to say something about what's happening with New Day? And Big E was not happy about that. He basically told Wade Barrett to fuck off. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this coming on Raw this week. And of course, I want to see what's going to be the fallout on SmackDown with the new Bloodline losing War Games. So although I'm ready for this to be done with, at the same time, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that. So yeah, I'm excited about the two upcoming shows.
All right, let's get back to our predictions for War Games.
Sure.
All right, so War Games, we said Nia Jax team would win. We were wrong. Braun Baker's match, we said Braun will win. We were right. U.S. title match, we said Shinsuke would win. We were right. Raw Championship.
No, let me correct you. We said that LA Knight would probably win, but we wanted Shinsuke to win.
Oh, could be. All right. Well, I put Shinsuke, so Raw Championship, Gunther, we said would win. We were right. Men's War Games, we said New Blood would win, and we were wrong. So we were hitting about 70%.
No, the New Blood did win. The New Bloodline did win.
No. Roman pinned somebody.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got him confused. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Right. The OG Bloodline won. He pinned Solo. What's that? One more time.
I said, don't gaslight me.
Oh. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a recap. This was they didn't have many matches for this pay-per-view, but it still went a good 3 hours. Yeah. So like I said, good pay-per-view. I would give this an A.
I'm not gonna go with an A. I'm gonna go with probably B plus.
Why?
I just can't give it an A. I can't explain it. I guess I wanted a little bit more oomph, and I didn't get the oomph. I don't know what was missing, but I just can't give it an A. But I'll give it a solid B. I think the Shinsuke match should have been longer. I think the men's War Games should have been a little bit shorter. think the women's war game should have been a little bit shorter. I think Braun Breaker's match should have been a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more violent. I think Gunther's match should have been with no interference. I don't know. I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah, I mean the war games, you really couldn't make it any shorter because when you have 5 competitors and each one has to wait 5 minutes,
Yeah.
So I mean you really you can't go any shorter with the war games. Yeah, I thought the pay-per-view was I don't know how much better you could have made it, to be honest with you. I mean,
Tip,
yeah, Gunther winning clean would have been great. Um, but it's
tip,
still, you have two storylines out of this. You have the storyline still between Damien and Gunther because Gunther hasn't beat him clean. And you also have that storyline between Damien and Finn Balor because once again, Finn Balor has cost Damien the title. So that's pretty good booking, man. It's pretty good producing. I'm not gonna hate on any of the matches. Brian Breaker, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you could have went a little bit more violent, but I think if the match would have went any longer, it would have lost what it had. I just can't see it going any longer than it was. I think I would have lost interest at that point. So
yeah,
I don't know, teach his own. I mean, the professional wrestling is kind of like, you know, a girlfriend or a wife. Beauty. I mean, it's beauty is in the eye of the holder. Professional wrestling is, enjoyment is in the eye of the holder with that. So you can't really argue someone's feelings when it comes to professional wrestling because it's theirs. So
I look at Braun Breaker and, he is just impressive. And the thing is, it's that second generation thing, but it's also, it's like he's carrying on where Scott, right before Scott became Papa Pump,
mhm.
carrying on right after that, where Scott never became Papa Pump. You know, it's that next evolution without Papa Pump. That's how I view Braun Breaker. You know, he's got
Yeah, there are rumors that his cousin, I can't remember his name, um,
who's playing
is coming. Was that?
playing football right now, college football.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
heard the rumors.
Yeah.
You know,
So, I'm curious if he comes in and they decide to form a tag team, if they're going to, at that point, carry the Steiner name, or if they're going to continuously use different names so they can have their own identity instead of being compared to their fathers. But regardless, if you put those two guys together, I think that that's going to be another great tag team that WWE has.
absolutely, absolutely. And the sad thing is, Braun's already at a career height that Scott and Rick took 10 years, 15 years to get to. You know, and great for Braun, but he's got to be thankful to his dad and his uncle paving that way because otherwise he'd be at Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Right?
You know,
Yeah, I mean that's true. Um, it has to be tough being the son of someone that was just such a great talent within professional wrestler because in many ways he has to feel like people are still kind of comparing him and that he has these shoes to fill. Um, that if I was him, I would have it back in my mind, that I have to get away from that, get away from that shadow and want them to recognize me for my own talent. Because you're right, as good as his dad was, I think Brian Breaker is even better than his father was. And I think that if he stays in professional wrestling long enough, that he is going to surpass what his father did for professional wrestling.
oh, Braun's a world champion in the making. If he's not, it's just a missed opportunity. But there's no reason why Braun shouldn't be a world champion in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. With the rumors going around that Triple H is going to be leaving WWE next year, I almost get a little worried about who his replacement would be and how many of these guys would get lost and pushed to the back for whatever reason. Um, I don't know. We'll see. There's so many moving parts in WWE right now that it's going to be interesting watching what happens, even in the backside of WWE with TKO. So yeah, yep. But yeah, that was Survivor Series War Games last night. Like I said, I give it an A. Mark gives it a B. Mark's crazy. Don't listen to him. But anyway, all right, man. You got anything to say?
No, Vikings won.
Who cares about the Vikings? Look, this is what's going to happen to the Vikings. If they make it to the playoffs, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to choke.
Yep.
They are they do carry a championship, and that championship is choking.
Yes, I know.
So,
But it's kind of like winning the lottery. You always hope.
you're right. You're right. And you have a better chance to get hit by lightning than the Vikings going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can't.
All right, guys.
Ring the damn bell.
Ring that bell. You guys join us on Tuesday for our